James Mennie joins us. Good afternoon, James.
Hello, Sue.
James is a reporter, columnist, and editor at the Montreal Gazette, and you want to talk about this very disturbing expose published this morning, Children's Death Shake Batshaw Workers.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's disturbing. It's disturbing, yes. The Gazette's Jack Wilson basically yesterday published an expose, really, of the fact that 3 children had died within a matter of weeks in March while under the care of the Batshaw Youth and Family Centers. And the thing is, what's really, I think, heartbreaking about this story is not just the facts of the story, which are bad enough. This is Groundhog Day. We do this story, or someone else does this story about once every other year, or God help us, perhaps more than once a year. It doesn't occur in this story, but it also gave rise to the expression that still sends chills down my spine, which is, fell through the cracks in the system, even though I've been hearing that for 30 years, and the fact is nobody seems to be able to take over those cracks. There is always outrage. There is always something must be done. In the case of the infamous little Granby girl, which really rocked all of Quebec, and had then Premier Francois Legault saying something must be done. I'm so angry about this. But we still see the same thing. In the Batshaw cases, we're quoting people at the center saying we're underfunded, we're understaffed, we're barely hanging on by our fingernails. And I guess my takeaway from the story isn't how could this happen, but why does it happen more often? But the reality is, once again, there's this blind spot, as far as I'm concerned, on the part of, it doesn't matter what the party is. Quebec governments and many governments, basically, they don't want to acknowledge perhaps the worst problems right in front of their face. One is homelessness. The other is the exploitation of kids. And despite all the pious-sounding noises that every government, including this one, has made over the issue, nothing seems to change, even though we have public inquiries and we really point out what the problems are, not the least of which being, but if a kid is in the protection of the youth, or in the sway, let's say, of the Youth Protection Agency, by the time they get 18, well, they get drop-kicked out with absolutely no support whatsoever. That came up during the public inquiry sparked by the death of the girl in Granby. But has anything changed? No, not really. And here we are with, an Anglophone institution, which, I think, as tempting as it would be to say, well, it's because it's an Anglophone institution, I think the entire network is being underfunded. I think you could go to some other, various centers that are, Francophone centers and whatever, and you'd also get the same story. Mm-hmm. But once again, today, the social affairs critics for the Liberal Party and for Quebec Solidaire have called upon Social Services Minister Lena Carmont to do something, to look into this. I've seen no reaction yet from the government. I'm not holding my breath. But once again, this is not the first time we've written about it, and I'm very, very sorry to say it's not the last.
Well, I found it interesting that Santé Quebec refused to comment, declined their request for an interview. But also, just from reading through the article, it does seem that it is also the whole system has been a victim of all think about, in the last 10 years, how many times the system has been re-engineered. Like, who's even in charge anymore?
Yeah.
Isn't even that minister anymore? Like, there's CUSs, now they're not there anymore. Now there's Santé Quebec, now they're, it's just, it's a mess.
This government in particular, although Quebec governments in general, have always been far more interested, far more concerned about changing the acronyms of various agencies than actually changing what they do. So, and this is where we are, and this is where we're paying the cost. And 3 deaths, 1 death, and, all the deaths that we don't know about, Sue, but this is where we are. And I despair to say that, like I say, nothing's going to change.
No. And, I'm sure people that have worked in the ground. I certainly know people in that system, and they work there. They work so hard, and so many of them are such good people, and it's just really soul-sucking to have to show up day after day with the big, big problems that these kids have and just no support. Yeah.
Well, like I say, until there's a change at the top, we'll be talking about this again. I hate to say it, but we will.
All right. Well, let's talk about Christine Frechette, on to government and government responsibility. I only bring this up because it's 100 days. Are we throwing a party? Are we digging a hole?
No, what we're doing is we're wearing teal. Did you see the video?
No.
Have you seen you haven't seen the video.
I'm looking.
I would urge
video?
you. Her video on X. Which is basically, it's a campaign ad. She's basically saying, forget everything that happened over the past 8 years. I'm here now. This is what we've done. We've tax cuts and this and that and blah blah blah, and welcome tax is gone and blah 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 blah. But the problem is, and what people are noticing online is, if you look at this video, and once again, you can go on you can go on the X platform, and I really hope that CJAD.com picks it up. From the opening shot, here's Madame Frechette. She's wearing a dark teal colored blazer.
Yeah,
and she's talking away and this and that and blah, 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 blah. And then she sits down, and you discover that the painting behind her has a lot of teal elements in it. And indeed, the file folder in front of her is teal. And when you get to the 28-second mark of that video, you'll discover that her staff member who's come in, just to do some staff member kind of stuff, is also wearing a teal colored jacket. And if you look in the background, Sue, you'll discover that the colors of the Quebec flag, the fleur-de-lis, is not so much blue as it is teal. Now, did they have a problem with, developing the film? You and I know that's not what we do anymore. I remember years ago, a buddy of mine was saying, we were talking about, sports franchises, and somebody somewhere had determined, or focus groups or whatever had determined, that for some, and this is why, big name sports franchises, football teams and whatever, were going to teal-colored uniforms because it made people feel better. It made people, you wanted to root for teal, okay? And if I'm raising this, it's not because, I caught them in a little glitch. The whole thing is wall-to-wall teal, Sue, and I got to tell you, it's scary as hell, all right? So maybe, we can, if Brian's out there, if you can grab that, brother, and just slap it on the site, because it's a little bit chilling. And as for the content, as I say, this is the whole, the crux of the strategy for the Coalition Avenir Quebec. You are getting very, very sleepy. Forget about the last 8 years. Just remember me. Remember my teal-colored blazer. Remember what I've done and what I promised to do. And please don't wipe me off the electoral map come October. But yeah, spooky stuff.
It is actually all the folders. Everything is teal, and the Quebec flag is teal too.
Yeah, kind of spooky, eh? But you know what? Listen, when has the CAQ ever hesitated to basically, how can I put it, stage manage reality anyway, right? Yeah. There was a secularism crisis in Quebec that Bill 21 had to deal with. There was an English-speaking crisis in Quebec that Bill 96 had to deal with. So you know what? Don't worry. Be happy. Look at me in my teal-colored blazer and my teal-colored fleur-de-lis, and we will march together into a better tomorrow for the Quebec nation.
Thanks, James. Have a good weekend.
You too, Sue.
Bye.
Hello, Canada.
This is Bryan Adams Radio. Hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
We'll play a few of mine, a ton of my favorites, and some must-hear behind-the-scenes stories from the world of rock and roll. I'm coming to get you! One thing about doing rock and roll so long is you end up meeting a lot of the people that you admire. Sometimes you even get to work with them. It's only love, and that's all.
Bryan Adams Radio. I'm coming back to you. Now available on the free iHeartRadio app.
Everybody